My only release, being 12 and my hormones and things just starting to kick in. And a lot of people say that they were aware of their same-sex attractions at 5, 6, 7 years old, but I think for me it really hit during a period of time where I had to really start participating in gym in 6th grade and changing my clothes in a locker room. And in my middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders took electives together. So music, art, gym, what have you, were all taken together. I'm not, really subconscious when it comes to my physical body. So I know for a fact, even in looking back now, I know that it didn't have anything to do with my physical self. It was more the internal struggles, And the 8th grade boys used to play this game where once gym was over and we would go back into the locker room to change back into our regular school clothes, they would choose one of the 6th or 7th graders as a victim and grab him up and tear his underwear off and flushed underwear in a toilet and force him to go throughout the whole rest of the day, without underclothes. And I always sort of feared, being targeted, just because of the fact that I always thought, well, what's going to happen if I get aroused, and, are they going to beat me up? Are people going to start calling me names? Am I going to be teased? And I was just so happened to be one of the blessed ones throughout elementary, middle, and high school, who never really was called a faggot or called out of his name, at least to my face. I'm quite sure people talked about me behind my back the same way, people talk about me behind my back now, but, never to my face were people that verbally abusive or aggressive. But I feared that, and a lot of that stemmed from my locker room experiences, and I chose one of the lockers that was in the first row. So I was sort of in the corner in the first row, sort of separated away from the other boys. But I hated gym not because of the activities, not because of, what we had to play and what we had to do, but just because of the fact that I had to change out of my school clothes into, this uniform. And it's not just something that I know gay boys or gay girls deal with. It's an issue that boys, girls, men, women, teenagers, straight, gay, transsexual, what have you, have to deal with, because a locker room is a very vulnerable place to be. Whenever you're taking off and stripping off your clothes, you're sort of letting go of your armor. Our clothing sort of creates a sense of protection, and it creates sort of a barrier between our personal individual selves and other beings. And once that's stripped away, you're sort of exposed. You're sort of exposed. I always feared even having, in my later years, going into environments where I would have to take showers around other guys. I feared, well, what if I get erect? What if I get hard in the shower room? Like, what is going to be the reaction, the consequences for it? And then surprisingly, the first time I ever was put in that environment, in that situation, if anything, I think the fear of being caught or being pinpointed saturated my being so much that being aroused was like the last thought on my mind, It was the last thought on my mind. So even now, I'm at a much better place in my life when it comes to locker rooms. I'm in a much, clearer and confident space where seeing another naked body does not mean, oh, I'm attracted to him, and that, I lust for his body, or I'm going to want him. That's something that I dealt with at the age of 12. And even throughout my 8th grade year, by the time I started taking gym in 8th grade, I think by the fact that I had a girlfriend and I started being sexually active, I allowed that to convince me that, being around other boys changing my clothes, that won't be, an issue because I have a girlfriend. To me, in my mind then, I think I had convinced myself that actually made a difference. But I have so many of you who are in the military who have reached out to me over the past year and a half, and those of you who are in, pretty much mainstay fraternities and sororities which celebrate, hypermasculinity and the alpha male being of the superior. And I'm curious as to how many of you have dealt in situations where you were in close proximity with a lot of individuals of the same sex in locker rooms and changing spaces in shower rooms? Like, how did you deal with that, especially the first time? And for a lot of my viewers, the thousands of you who are out there, I'm interested to know, when you first had to change your clothes in middle school, in a locker room, or in high school, or if you play sports and, after a game or during practice, you shower, were you comfortable in those situations, or did you have to sort of, avert your attention, or did you intentionally do certain things extra so that people wouldn't sort of wonder or question your sexuality? How did you deal in those specific situations? Leave comments. If you don't feel comfortable leaving public comments, which most of you don't, I mean, I don't know how many of you are aware of just how many people send me comments behind the scenes. But if you're not comfortable leaving your comment in the comment section, definitely send me a message, because I do read everything. Contrary to popular belief, though I don't reply to everything because I can't, I definitely do read everything. I'm very interested, especially in this topic, because the locker room can be a very scary place for so many of us. I had a client years ago, before I got into the blogging and the YouTube videos, when I was working as a therapeutic behavioral specialist, 16 years old, heavyset, but he was a great athlete. But he didn't feel comfortable changing in his high school locker room around other boys because of his weight, and his grade in gym class suffered because of that, And I think it's unfair that young men and young women and boys and girls are forced, especially, during those years where their hormones are kicking in and they're just coming into themselves. I think it's unfair that they're forced, females included, especially girls, to change in rooms where they have to subconsciously compare their body shapes and their body forms to all of their classmates and everyone around them. And how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that it should be optional for young boys and young girls and teenagers to change, for gym or what have you? Should that be an option for them? Should they be penalized because they don't feel comfortable? I'm very interested. Let's weigh in. Also, I finally have given in to my team. For the past 6 or 7 months, they've wanted me to start a Facebook fan page. And now more than ever, I've done it, just because I am at my 5,000 friends maximum on my original Facebook page, which is very much still active. So there are 394 of you out there right now who have sent me friend requests, and I am unable to accept you. And I don't want you to think that I'm telling my team to ignore you. I don't want you to think that I'm being shady and not accepting you. It's not that. Facebook does not allow me to accept any more friends past 5,000. So we've started the Facebook fan page at facebook.com/ZimVanAdams XVA to accommodate all of you who have sent me requests, along with everyone else who will discover me from here on out, so that you guys can also take part in everything that everyone on my original Facebook page does. So even if you are following me and you've already sent me a friend request on my original Facebook page, definitely hit up the fan page, because I've just already started uploading some exclusive photos there that aren't posted anywhere else, as my new photo shoot with Deontay Keller, the young man who photographed me for all of the photos you see in my blog header at ZimVanAdams.com. We're doing a new photo shoot December 12th, and all of those photos will exclusively be uploaded to the new fan page at the beginning of the year of 2010. So send friend requests, and don't forget to leave comments letting me know about your first experiences being in a locker room environment, whether it be at the ages of 10, 11, 12, or college. For those of you who are in the military and different fraternities and sororities, I'm very interested in hearing about your experiences. And do you feel that students, children, teenagers should be forced to change their clothes for gym and other activities in that type of environment? And if they don't, is it fair that they're penalized? Weigh in. Send friend requests to the new Facebook page, and let's continue to conquer the world, my socialites and celebutants, one word at a time. And, oh yeah, happy Thanksgiving! Happy Thanksgiving! I'm sure I'll see so many of you out at Love Nightclub Thanksgiving night in Washington, D.C. All the details are at ZimVanAdams.com.